But I just have to take a moment and commemorate or memorialize what is going on in the world today, according to Forbes Riley. And I think that's why you guys tune in, right? To hear my point of view, my perspective on life and things. Nuts, absolutely freaking nuts. Let's just start with that's my perspective. What the happened to our world? It is like we are living in a movie, but why should it surprise us? And so I think what you're going to get today is a very uplifting, positive experience. There were 2 weeks there when all this was going down and falling apart. I'm quite a visionary where I fell apart as well and thought, wow, could this be real? That level of denial. There are 7 steps of grieving, and this is one of them. We are grieving for our old ways. It is fascinating to see people who are holding on and can't let go, who are so frightened they don't know what to do with themselves. Those of us who have a perspective and can create a new normal. But there are steps and levels that you must go through. And the first one is acceptance, that life is different, not better or worse. That's what's so crazy about this. For those of us who've taken a very clear perspective, this is an amazing time in history. You could have lived your entire life and nothing would have changed. My kids were born, they were growing up. I was kind of lamenting the fact that next year they're going to move away and I'll be an empty nester, and things do change. But basically they change pretty slowly. In my lifetime, Broadway theaters were not shutting down. Casinos were not stopping. Airlines were not flying. And all of a sudden, that's the reality. And so I'm going to invite you guys to call in and ask for some perspectives. I've got a wonderful guest to start my day with. Her name is Miss Toni Hudson. And she is not only beautiful on the inside, but on the outside as well. I'll let her tell you a little bit about herself, but I'm glad that she's here because I love the female mom perspective. And so she and I are going to get into it. Everybody give a big round of applause, Miss Toni Hudson. Woo! Hey, Toni, how are you?
Hey, Forbes Riley. Thank you for having me. I'm amazing.
See, that's what I like. That's why you're on the show, because I have a lot of other guests who are like, oh, I don't feel so good. I'm depressed. I'm going to, no. What's your definition of amazing, my girlfriend?
Amazing is the fact that this universal pause button is how I look at it.
Oh, I like that. Guys, stop for a second. Universal pause button. You were the first one to coin that phrase.
Yes, the universal pause button is, it's kind of like when I was a kid, my mom would say when I would get the flu, she goes, well, it's kind of like God telling you need to slow down. To me, it's the universal God or whomever your, worship is that just saying, look, slow down. And I really feel that the energy is so shifted with this uncertainty of this virus situation, because right before this happened, the energy was so negative. Everyone was judging people and pointing and complaining, and it was never their fault. And it was somebody else did this to me. We're victims and we're this. And all of a sudden, it all stopped. All of that arguing and of the stuff, like just the outside stuff. So now everyone can go inside. We inside literally into our houses, inside literally into our bodies, minds, and souls, and connect to those things that we were just saying, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for my kid to go play like this. I don't have time to clean this. I don't have time. We have all the time in the world right now. So
I always thought that the world would unite when an alien from another planet came down to us, that was going to be the moment in my lifetime where we would all stop and get together as people and band against something else. Well, in fact, this is an alien of some sort, little tiny alien.
Yes.
But you are so completely right. I personally actually did some really fun things. I actually have gone through my life piece by piece. I went through every single closet, every single drawer. In my lifetime, I would have never done that. I watched my parents both pass away with a house full of crap that they didn't necessarily understand. And that's probably the least of all the things that are going on. But I enjoyed that pause button to go, whoa. I also have a pause button where both of my children are living with me at the moment. They're 17 years old and we are having dinner together. Actually, we stopped doing that. They were always girlfriend this and this, that. I'm like, wow. So I'm wondering though, are you noticing among your friends that this is a typical point of view, or are they having a lot of other varieties?
No, I would say the majority of people that I know are in the fear. They're in the fear factor and the panic. Because it seems like only things that we would read about in history where these events happen, and it's like it would never happen to us, and here we are, we're facing it. Like, look in the mirror, this is it. So in reference to my lifestyle, my friends know, I've lived preventatively for a very, very long time. And so my fear has gone is so far away. I don't really have fear about life in general
All right,
because
so let's stop for a second, because this
yeah.
show really drills down on things. When you said a preventative lifestyle, for you, what does that mean?
That means that early on, I took the health of my physical being into my own hands, but about the age of 19 or 20. And it just started because I wanted to, get rid of the acne and the cellulite and my emotional highs and lows that I had during the monthly cycles. And I just didn't want to be like my mother on every diet, every week, changing this and that and trying to figure it out. And so I became educated on a way to live where food is medicine, because medicine could never be food. And
Which I
so,
love that phrase. So we're gonna drill down a little bit more from my audience, because Forbes Factor is about health, wealth, and happiness. And
right.
I've got some great business concepts and great professionals who come on the show. But the other side of my entire world has been all about health. I was obsessed being bullied because I was overweight as a kid. My mom was always overweight. We lived on fast food, didn't have a lot of money, didn't know anything about that, even though I was a dancer. So you imagine a dancer having big chunky thighs. I was on Broadway with Christopher Reeve, and I was made to go to Overeaters Anonymous. I've gone through all of that, which led me on my path. But I love the fact that you made this conscious decision. So everyone listening, this is what the CDC and everyone is saying. Your best defense is a healthy body. Your body actually knows how to fight disease. That's what it's designed to do. That's why we encourage kids to eat stuff off the floor when they're little and put it in their mouths so they develop antibodies. So
Exactly.
what are some of the positive steps that Toni Hudson has done to get to be as beautiful as you are now?
Well, first, I'd like to say if I don't cover something here, they can get my book, which is out on audio right now, which is called How I Found Myself with Correct Living. And that's spelled Kerekt, living. And
That would be the correct spelling.
Yeah, the phonetic correct way to say it. Yes. So correct living. And I also have a channel on our New You Network, which is newyounetwork.com. So all of this information we're going to be talking about today is available elsewhere, and they can continue the conversation themselves. But the main thing that I did was really just take food as a barometer, a foundation, a way to basically create freedom, because I'm not attached to the fears of, well, what if, or the fact that I've had kids, so now I have to have a body I don't like, or they say that you should eat this and have that and take that medication. No, I did my own education, and it's based on Eastern philosophies. It's not counting grams and calories and BMI indexes. It's based on yin and yang, which is balance, sodium potassium balance, acid alkaline balance. And so it is really just understanding nature. It's God-given. It's not scientific. It's based on the laws of the universe, the natural laws of the universe. And I'm a common sense intellect. I didn't graduate high school, never went to college. So I'm a student of life, I guess. And that's what it is. It's basically just based on the food can prevent you from actually contacting anything.
Now, why would you say not science-based? Don't put this down. Science is the study of nature and laws and things that are outside of us or inside of us. It's very much science-based.
What I mean, yes, it is. It's nature science, but I'm saying it's not like some fandangled. I didn't sit in a room and go, I think we should do this to figure out how to lose weight. No, it's just the fact that night and day, hot and cold, man and woman create a baby. Hot and cold create warm, night and day create a 24-hour day. That's what I mean by it's nature. It's not someone made that up and gave me that information. It exists already. That's what I mean by not being scientific.
Got it. What's some of the food things that you can really put forth right now that people are stuck in their house, maybe not get all the fresh fruit and vegetables, or maybe they can? What are you doing for you right now? What's the couple of key things?
Well, I know that when most people get fluenza, right, they usually go to their chicken noodle soup, right? That's their thing. Well, mine is miso soup. In the Eastern cultures, Japanese mostly, it's probiotic. Miso is fermented over time. It's got minerals and iron and all the probiotics that you need in a fermented soybean. It's from a natural food source, and it's aged over a long period of time. And so all the kombuchas and everything that everybody's drinking right now, it's already in the food. When you eat fermented cabbage or all these foods that are pickled. These are things that create a really great natural environment within your body to be healthy.
Okay, so miso soup is one. Does it come in a package?
No, you can get it instant, but I make it homemade. I put wakame seaweed in there. I put daikon in there. I put carrots in a pot of water. Wakame seaweed is the one that cooks a little faster. And I'll put some cubed tofu and some chopped scallions. Then I take the miso paste and I liquefy it in water first, put it in the not boiling water anymore. After it's all cooked, put in the paste, and that creates the broth. Then I sprinkle some chopped scallions on top, and that's miso soup. That is my medicine. So when I feel,
I love that, because I've only eaten that. I'm a big fan of miso soup, and I've actually got it in the little container things that you have. Always order it in Japanese restaurants, but never actually thought to make it myself. So this is hugely powerful.
oh yes, and on my Instagram, Toni Hudson 9, and on Facebook, I have those recipes and pictures and videos of how that, and also on the New You Network, and in the book has a recipe.
All right, so give me one more food and then we'll get to New You Network. One other food that you find is a staple for you during this time that you might recommend most people don't know about.
Well, what's interesting is you say during this time, Forbes, haven't changed. In other words, I eat this every day, whether there's a virus or not. I mean, I have miso soup almost every day. I have oatmeal, oat groats. I have a millet and brown rice and kasha, buckwheat groats. I eat the whole grain in its form. I eat vegetables right out of the ground, whether it's carrots and kale and caul. I was eating kale when broccoli was still king, you know? I mean, I've been eating kale
I love it.
forever. And so hearty, thick leafy greens, the sea vegetables. So there's the wakame, like I said, in the miso soup, but there's kombu, which I use for my other soup stocks, which is another seaweed. There's hijiki, which is a great side dish. There's arame, which is another great seaweed, which is a side dish. And we're talking minerals and iron, which help build the immune system. The way I eat helps to keep your immune system so strong and vital that if a virus does come in your path, your body's strong enough that it won't be susceptible.
So, you know, I put a post up that got a lot of ridicule yesterday about the number of people that die from heart disease every year. It's in the high 600,000s.
Mm-hmm.
And heart disease and diabetes, I believe, are preventable through diet and exercise. And I'm a pretty
Absolutely,
big fan of that.
I agree 100%.
And we're going nuts over a disease that could kill, obviously, a couple 100,000 Americans, and we're nuts. We're shutting everything down. However, we do know that food like fried chicken and donuts, which now Kentucky Fried Chicken has put out a sandwich that is Kentucky Fried Chicken between two glazed donuts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not illegal. So it's okay if you kill yourself through heart disease, just don't get a coronavirus.
Exactly. Interesting.
I'm sorry, what am I missing here?
Yeah, no, it's well, people are really, I say the masses usually eat emotionally. We know what we ate growing up. We know when we get sick what made us feel good. We know what we like in the holidays. We know, it's emotional eating, and it's not educated nutritional eating most of the time. And for me, the reason I say freedom is because I don't have to think how many calories is this. I don't have to weigh that. It's just free. In other words, I understand my balance. I understand what my body needs, because what your body needs, Forbes, could be totally different than what my body needs. I can't say you need to eat this every day as I do. So it's understanding. You become your own guinea pig. You get to learn about your body, and then your taste buds change. See, the people don't realize that, well, but I couldn't live without meat, or I couldn't live without sugar. And there's other sweet things. I bake, and I have a berry pie in my refrigerator right now, but it's made with a gluten-free light crust, and there's no dairy in it. There's no refined sugar. There's a little pure maple syrup, and that sweetens it. But the berries in the syrup, there you go. I mean, so I don't, deprive myself of anything wonderful and fun. It's just I change the ingredients to make them real and whole and nutritious.
Now, some people say the proof is in the pudding, in this case, the gluten-free, sugar-free pudding. But if you're lucky enough to be watching Toni like I am on the Zoom call or on our YouTube live feed or even on Facebook, you're going to notice this woman does not only have stunning hair, but clear, beautiful face. I mean, you are absolutely stunning.
Oh,
and I know that a lot of what it is because of what you put in your body. I can just see it.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, I'm turning 60 this year. You and I think we're like right in there, baby.
Can I tell you, I'm going to have a massive girl crush right now that you next to me are like the cutest 6-year-old I've ever seen. I mean, seriously, come on, get real. Hello. I'm like loving my arms. By the way, you need to be spinjaming with me. Is that your natural hair color?
Yeah, there it is.
You need to be doing this because I'll tell you what, every day at noon, we have been working our arms, our abs, our vital organs. And again, I love the whole East meets West. That's what I've been doing for most of my life. And I think it's why at this age. Do you think it's never too late to start?
No, and here's what's really exciting. If you go to newyounetwork.com, that's NUYU network.com, we have just launched a streaming live it'll be live a lot, but right now it's 24/7 where you will have access. Let me read from how we have this. New You dives into the world of the 21st century integrative medicine, health, longevity, food, and lifestyle content. Our channels will feature doctors, thought leaders such as yourself, Forbes, we want you on there, and coaches ready to empower and creative change in the lives of everybody that subscribes. So New You Network is designed to engage, motivate, and activate our growing communities of conscious living enthusiasts. So newyounetwork.com is in the front of that. We want to give everybody this information all the time, 24/7, and allow people to take their lives in their own hands and stop being
my sister from another mother. I've got about 30 seconds before my first break. And at some point, when we come back, we're going to introduce a gentleman who is a Feng Shui expert, because today's show is fixing your inside and fixing your outside. And if you don't know what the word Feng Shui means, you definitely want to come back right after this break. I'm Forbes Riley. You're listening to Forbes Factor, Health, Wealth, and Happiness. Don't go away. I love it. I love it. We are still
all clear.
Thank you, my darling. We're still live on Facebook, just to be very clear. Ken, can we see your photo? Can we see your face? How are you? And I do love this idea. You know, it's funny because one of my girlfriends is a massive Feng Shui expert. And right before this all happened, I hadn't seen her in 20 years. She came over to my house. And as I'm looking at the crystal up there and a couple other things I Feng Shui'd, thank God we did, because I think it made my house and my life better. And I don't think people have any idea now they're stuck in their home what they can create. So how are you?
I am fabulous. It's always good to see you. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, you're welcome. I think the timing is right.
Yes.
And I really do want to focus. Literally, the order is coming down tomorrow at midnight that no one can leave their home in Florida. If you have not taken care of this Feng Shui thing, you're going to notice it.
Yes,
so
yes.
I'm excited to have you back and really kind of opening it up. Say hi to Miss Toni.
Hi, Toni. How are you?
Hi, Ken. Nice to meet you, sir.
Yes,
I'm going to spend a couple minutes with just Toni, bring Ken on, and then Toni, if you're cool with this, I love the panelist format where you can chime in, and let this be a conversation.
Sure.
I'm very excited about New You Network. I think it's just, I can't wait. How's everything going with your launch and all of that?
Oh, it's going great, and especially with the climate we have right now. I mean, to have all that information in one place instead of having to search all over the internet to find this or that, we're just putting it all in one place. And so
what is your partner's name who emailed me that I haven't addressed yet?
Sue Ann Taylor.
Sue Ann, all right. I think she must have, either you or she sent me an email. I've been inundated a little bit lately.
Okay. So 25 seconds till we're live, 25 seconds.
All right. You want to hear talk about, timely things? I actually started shooting an infomercial before all this started called Plan Your Passing.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
I know you're going to sound like a massive opportunist, but the guys just flew down from Chicago. I have one more thing I have to film today. They braved an airplane to do this. I can't believe it.
Wow.
I know. And I'm hoping to God that we don't look like
You are listening to the Forbes Factor. To call in with a question or comment, please call 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. Or send an email to Forbes@ForbesRiley.com. Now back to the show. Here's Forbes Riley.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Forbes Factor. It is a crazy day. It is April Fool's Day. And partly I woke up this morning thinking, maybe it's all a joke. But alas, that is not the truth. We are in the middle of a world, I was going to say the world crisis, but I don't feel that way. I feel like, what did Toni, you called it a universal pause button?
Pause button, yes.
Now, I do have to very pointedly say that there are people who are suffering greatly because of this. and my heart goes out to them. I've lost both my parents to cancer. I understand there's a lot of people, both my fiance was in a hospital. He was a major accident at the beginning of January, spent a week in the ICU. And then my daughter was playing football and shattered her finger and had surgery a couple of weeks ago. I'm grateful they hurt themselves then, not now. I cannot imagine the craziness of being in a hospital. So to all my friends and family who are first responders and nurses and doctors and seeing this literally horror, they are seeing things that you and I do not see. I send them my love, my thoughts, our prayers are with them, and please keep doing a great job and stay safe. If you're lucky enough to be home and have a roof over your head and within the sound of my voice, take that moment of massive gratitude. That is the strongest thing that we all have going for us. We're all at a certain place in our lives for certain reasons. There is no rhyme or reason. Please don't ask why me. The answer is why not you? You know, it is never what happens to you. It is how you deal with it. We all have a certain time on this planet. And I will tell you, today's show is focused on the health and mentality of not only your body, but your home. And now more than ever is your time to choose that positivity, to choose that knowledge. You no longer can go, oh, I didn't know it was what I ate that killed me and caused my heart disease or my diabetes. Oh, I didn't know that my bed was in the wrong direction and I'm having a problem with my husband. Now, I'll get this a little esoteric, but that's what one of my next guests is going to talk about. It's about energy. It is about what you put out, what you think, what you believe, what you portray, and it does come back to you. So both of my guests are very important to me. Please welcome Ms. Toni Hudson and Ms. Ken Lauer. How are you guys both?
Hi.
Thank you so much for having me. This is wonderful.
Well, I adore both of you. Toni, before we left, we were talking about our bodies and our health. And how does mindset play into your particular way of being when it comes to health, food, and family?
Yeah, mindset is important. So yes, what you dwell upon shall become. And dwelling is what I call the voices in your head. It's not like you're consciously having a conversation. It's just you're just kind of, and if you're worried and fearful of this or that, you're going to create more worry and fearful of this or that. So yes, it's out there, the fear and the panic and this newness of it all, but it's how we react to it, which will create our environment, which Ken's going to, of course, extend on. But your own mind is really what creates the environment for your health. It's kind of like it's like I just planted my very first garden, and it's like the bed of the garden.
Okay, girlfriend, how crazy. I did the exact same thing. I have a relatively small backyard. I downsized my home. So I have a beautiful pool, which when I was growing up and had no money, to me, if you had an in-ground pool, that meant you were rich. I've always had an in-ground pool since I could afford one, but I have a garden, and I meant to, for the 6 years I've been in my home, do something with it.
Yes.
Well, last week I got in the dirt. I got some aloe plants. I had to go get tools. I didn't have anything. And oh my gosh, let me tell you something, guys. If you want to connect and find the new you, I don't care if you get into your home, into a raised flower bed, but go get some seeds and understand that life and food happens from a seed, water, and dirt. Dirt that we don't even want to play in as adults. We don't get our hands dirty. Get dirty. See how a seed turns into a plant, turns into a vegetable that you can eat. And all of a sudden, the cycle of life, I think, will influence you in a way that you forgot to look at the world. Yes?
Yes, and that's what I think that seed is like the thoughts in our mind. So in other words, you've got thoughts that are negative or not good for you. They're in the, going in the wrong direction of what you want to see your life. I think of it as designing a life instead of just enduring one. So when you just dwell with stuff in your head, that's not a good seed to plant for what you want your life to blossom into. So it's really about nurturing what you want your life to become. And we can design our own lives. That's
bingo. We can design our own lives. Speaking of that, Mr. Ken, if you're on board today, I want you to define what is Feng Shui and why do you do it?
Well, for me, Feng Shui is understanding how our space is impacting our subconscious patterns, habits, feelings, and emotions. So all too often we will reflect, or our space will reflect to us what we should or shouldn't be doing or how we approach certain things. So something came to me in meditation last night that I want to share. And that is, each of you that are listening here today, including the hosts and the guests, have the power to heal the world when you share your gifts and talents with others. So maybe each of us aren't the doctor. Maybe we're not the nurse. Maybe we're not the first responder, but there are people out there right now that are having challenges and that could truly benefit or utilize what you have, whatever that gift may be. And so what we want to begin to do is understand, how do we optimize our space to optimize our energy so that the information flows through us and connects and help others second.
Okay, so I have two kids who are kind of practical thanks to their dad. And they're like, Mom, what's the feng shui? Why is there a crystal hanging over my door? And why did you move the furniture? Will you
That's right.
explain to me the value of what that means?
So again, everything that has happened, let's put it in practical terms as far as corporate America. So when Apple went to build their spaceship building, what they wanted to figure out was, how do we make our team members more efficient and more effective with their thinking and their output and their productivity? So they went as far as saying, okay, what is going to disrupt their thinking and their thought processes? So every transition point in between a room and a hallway is the same level. There's not that little bitty bump, because they didn't want the engineers to have to stop what they were doing or to think or to navigate to even step over the slightest raise. Now, if you amplify and elevate that, and all of a sudden you're doing this disco dance to try to get into your space, then that represents a lot of blockages and obstacles in your life. It could be personal, it could be professional. And so when we're allowed to truly expand rather than contract, we then begin to open up new opportunities and possibilities because we have a clutter-free mind. It's not about a clutter-free space. The goal is, what do we need to do to help you have a clutter-free mind so that when you can think of something, the idea and the recipe for me is the recipe of manifestation, going from a thought to an action to a result and replicating that again and again. And then you put your own unique true self into that recipe, and then now you have something that's magical.
Okay,
And
let's
so-
cut it down to the very, very basic. Is somebody who's neater more successful than somebody who's messy?
No, because everybody's unique and everybody has their own way of working. So you can't get into a place where you're dictating or focusing on, hey, here's how it has to be. What a person, in my opinion, is with Feng Shui is the whole recipe, Feng Shui is a tool. And here it is. The tool is there to help you get back to your true self. More people become more obsessed with the tools than the outcomes. And you have to reverse that and be more obsessed with the outcomes, and then figure out what tools are going to work at what time to help elevate me, and how do I help those that I love and beyond.
Okay, let's talk about real simplistic basic, because I noticed I did feng shui on my home 20 years ago when Miss Karen Rausch Carter, I don't know if you know her, popped into my life. Well, she just came back into my door about a month and a half ago after 20 years. I do notice, for me, and Toni, maybe this is true for you, when you move certain things in your house, the energy does feel better. So Ken, on the very base level right now, without stressing anybody out about how to do everything, what's 2 or 3 fixes an average person might apply to see if it changes them from the outside in?
So here's a simple and easy one. Take a look at, and if you have a camera or a photo, snap a photo of your space. The moment that you snap a photo of your space, you're no longer in it, but now all of a sudden you're judging, labeling, or critiquing your space, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I let it get like that. And so what I want each person to do is look at your space, and then if you were to label a season to it, spring, summer, fall, or winter, what would the interior of your space represent? So the beautiful thing right now for those that are on video is we're looking at Forbes, and then she has this lush green plant. And then over there in the corner, we have like this topiary and things like that. And so all of a sudden I would say, oh, it reminds me of the tropics. It reminds me of vacation. So all of a sudden, when you feel and connect with nature, and what we talked about earlier, you guys were talking about, hey, I wanted to connect with the garden. I wanted to see that life cycle. It's about connecting with nature. And so all too often our energy is contracted because our space looks like winter. Everything's dried, everything's dead. So a simple thing that you can do to make your space feel like a home is adding fresh flowers and living plants. And again, you can be the guinea pig. Test it. All too often, we wait for somebody else to give us permission or allow us to accept that gift of fresh flowers, when in reality, it's a gift to ourselves when we do that simple task.
I have a question, Forbes, that I can ask Ken, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So right behind me, if you can, Ken, can you see me?
I
have
can.
this bulletin board that's sitting on the floor. It's very heavy. And I moved into this very cute little cottage, but all the walls are plaster. And I don't know how to hang stuff on plaster. I don't want to ruin the walls. So for over a year, I've had everything that I want to hang on my plaster walls sitting on the floor. So it bothers me immensely. The idea that it's not finished, that it's not complete, it doesn't have the visual that I want. Can you talk about like what kind of energy that could bring for, because I know I've been in people's homes where they've never decorated a room, you know, so
Right.
what can you maybe touch on that?
So here's the thing. The bigger investments that you make in the space, the more your space becomes three-dimensional. The less investment that you make in your space, it becomes two-dimensional. And here's what I mean. A lot of times when people are just starting out or in college, they're taping things to the wall. You know, they're cutting things out, or, you know, oh, you're going to get fancy and you buy a print with like the plastic, you know, frame. But then as you start to go up, or if you have an opportunity and you have some design skills or something like that, or you just have, you're natural at it, then things become three-dimensional. So what we're seeing with Forbes is she's there, which she's beautiful and the centerpiece and the focal point, but then we have a chair, and her chair is not just a chair. Her chair actually has depth, dimension, and texture to it, right? So you can almost feel it and feel the luxuriousness of it. Now we look at the plant behind her, where again, depth, dimension, texture. And then we can go beyond that. And now we see wood patterns and we see the topiary. So you want to begin to start to expand into your space so that you have the five senses, where you're smelling things, where you're able to touch things, where they make you feel good. Now, if we talk about a practical standpoint on things that are too low in the space, what it represents in Feng Shui is it lowers your energy.
Yes.
And so when things are too high in your space, it represents that you can never quite catch them. You might always see them like a plane going by overhead, but you can never quite catch it. So ideally, when I'm hanging things or recommending the hanging of objects in a space, is I use an imaginary line across the middle of that object. And I hang that middle line right at the height of your eyebrow. And so you're slightly looking up at it. So it's almost like, you know, when you do your body posture and all of a sudden you kind of lift your chin up, it brings everything else up, including your energy. Same thing with your space.
I have to tell you, Toni, I actually looked at what was behind you and imagined that it was your vision board, and it seemed very light. And I thought, wow, she must have accomplished some of the things on her board, which is why it's the way it is. And they were small enough that I couldn't quite see them, but I thought I liked it very much. I can understand why you'd want to hang it, but I was very impressed. And Ken, I have to take a moment and say thank you, because I'm actually in a corner. I just redid where I'm going to do my office in here. And I don't love the fact that this comes out of my head like bunny ears. And I'm trying to decide, do I want to do more of that room and more of this room, which way I should go. But the fact that you commented on it just touched my heart, and thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, what does your background say about you?
So for me, mine is pretty simple. So off over here in this corner, I have some living plants, a succulent, two different succulents in a wood box, and it just makes me feel grounded. Now, if I raise it a little bit, I have the medicine Buddha behind me. And this is something.
You have a balance of your wood chairs.
Yes. And then these are Amish handmade rocking chairs. So there's something that I truly love and adore. Again, it creates a little depth, dimension, and texture. But these are things that really ground me and make me feel centered. And at the same time, with the medicine Buddha behind me, each of our jobs is there to share our gifts and talents with others so that they can heal or optimize what they can provide into the world as well.
Hey, Ken, so from your perspective, what's going on in the world?
So, you know, there's, let's say this way. So in Feng Shui, we look at yin and yang, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have the active and you have the passive. In any given time, you have conflict. And the challenge is, how do you navigate the yin and yang, and how do you navigate the conflict? So one of the things that we just mentioned, and what's been on my mind, Forbes, especially when I knew I was coming to you, is not only do we have the external world and all the stress and the challenges there, but you specifically have had life events that have happened to you. And they've happened very closely. And when that happens, it scatters our personal chi and our energy. And you'll notice this, especially when you work out. If you go to a gym, one day you rocked it and you got your, you got your personal best and your personal records. The next day a life event happens and you try to go back and repeat that. Maybe you're 30% capable of hitting what you accomplished the day before, because our energy scatters. In my opinion, we have the most amazing opportunity right now, because it brings back ownership to yourself and what you're putting out in the world and what you're sharing, and also how are you impacting others. And I think this also is a level playing field. I think for so many, it's a level playing field because it's no longer about money or the amount that you have to invest. You know, the late night TV shows, they're doing it from their kitchen table. You know, the news anchors, they're doing it from their basement.
It is crazy, isn't it?
It really is. So there's a level playing field right now. And the whole goal for me is, how do we help you get back to your true self and allow all those unique gifts and talents that come through you to be shared with the world? And that, I think, is the amazing opportunity, because all of a sudden, so many people have the opportunity to truly be awakened in this crisis.
Wow,
Yep.
I think that's insanely profound, guys. I've got a minute before we're ready to take our second break, and joining me is one of my other amazing fitness partners. You're going to love what he is up to. We're listening to Forbes Riley and Friends on right here on Forbes Factor. It's pretty profound, guys. You won't want to miss the rest of the show, so don't go away. We're still live recording on YouTube.
All
so you
clear.
guys know. I love what you said. I'm actually getting a kick out of seeing Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon doing this from their home with their kids. Sharon Stone popped in this morning into my feed with no makeup on, just lamenting about stuff. I'm thinking, in your lifetime, you would never imagine. This is out of somebody's alternate universe. I still can't believe Trump is president kind of thing, you know?
Right. That's exactly
That's a Simpsons episode as far as I can remember.
That's right. So if I'm able to, it's a personal question, but how is Joshua?
Challenge. Well, I'll tell you what. So January 2nd, he was hit by on his motorcycle, hit by a car, spent a week in the ICU. He's still in a wheelchair. He has no weight bearing on his foot at all. It's been 12 weeks. For a national fitness competitor who was just getting ready to do the Arnold, the highlight of his career at 42, to have that stopped, I look at it very metaphorically. He's sitting behind a computer now. He is a brilliant 3D graphic artist. He always has been. And guess what he's doing a lot more of? You know,
Wow.
if he were totally healthy right now, he'd be going insane, because we do not have a home gym that is good enough for him. And he hasn't needed one. He hasn't wanted to. He spin gyms a little bit. He is doing this, but he had to go through his own adjustment period. And it's not because of what's happening externally, it's because of what happened on his motorcycle.
Yes.
So big difference. We are very close. I will tell you, as every relationship goes through, it has its moments when you see each other 24/7, and it just does. Fascinating. And I'm very aware of that intellectually. And I actually personally had to make a new commitment to myself about how deeply I'm choosing to love.
Coming back in 10 seconds.
And so finding that is a shift. And I'm so excited that I could be smart enough or awake enough to make those kind of shifts. I don't think most people live their life this way. Hey, Eric, are you out there?
You are listening to the Forbes Factor. To call in with a question or comment, please call 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. Or send an email to Forbes@ForbesRiley.com. Now back to the show. Here's Forbes Riley.
Hey everybody, it is April 1st, April Fool's Day. There's an irony to that, 2020. If you're listening to the show as a recording, go back in history and figure out why this is such a crazy day.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. We're having the most delicious time though with my sister from another mother, Miss Toni Hudson. We're talking about her New You channel, the New You Network, and we're going to just recycle back around to tell you what she's up to about health, nutrition, lifestyle. I've got Ken Lara on the phone, who is a Feng Shui expert. All that is about the energy in your house. And then in just a second, Mr. Eric Michael is going to bring this home with one of the craziest conversations we've ever had. Him inside of his giant rosebud. What is that background, dude?
Like that?
All right, Toni, let's jump back one more time. Tell everybody who you are and what you're up to.
My name's Toni Hudson. I'm the author of the book, How I Found Myself with Correct Living, with my own channel called Correct Living on the New You Network, which is right now found on Roku, but go to the live streaming section and newyounetwork.com. And we're just collecting all the top leaders in health, wellness, inspiration, and putting them all in one place for everybody.
Sounds wonderful. Ken, who are you and what you're up to?
So my name's Ken Lauer. I'm a Feng Shui expert. And really what I do is use the tool of Feng Shui to help you gain clarity in times of stress and overwhelm.
I love that. Mr. Eric Michael, join us. Tell us what you're up to, who you are, and I'm very excited that you found a moment to pop in here.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for the invite. Let's see. My core business is business and consumer credit. So I build and fix it my whole last 15 years. We built that company. So it's a crazy time for us and doing a lot of these, Zooms and other interviews. My passion is fitness, which how Forbes and I didn't connect. We connected through doing the stuff with the business and consumer credit. But because of our spin gym, we've kind of gotten, I get goosebumps talking about it because I know it's coming, but I really haven't let most of the public know what we're building. But we have a pretty awesome app that should be launched probably this week at some point at the beta part. And then I think once we get out of this craziness, it's going to be perfect for now because I don't know about you guys, but I'm a routine guy. I get up at 4:30 every morning and it's tough not to go to the gym and do what I do, which is 45 minutes to 50 minutes with the same people, busting on each other. Everybody there at 5:15 or 6 o'clock in the morning wants to do one thing, come there to work out and feel great because we know what happens the rest of the day. For me now, it's hard for me to work out at home. So I had this idea. It's been it'll be 3.5 years. And some things happen with code, but the timing is so perfect. And I've been doing a lot of these 1-minute workouts that, I don't know how.
So Eric was part
how much detail we want to go into it, but
well, let's go into conceptually. You were part of my Forbes Factor training, and if you guys don't know what Forbes Factor is, www.forbesfactorlive.com. If you're emotionally stuck, if you can't figure out where to go and why to go, I got to tell you, in just 3 days, we will change your mindset. What I'm loving right now about this time is I Zoom weekly with my Forbes Factor team because we don't take no for an answer. We look at no as N-O, never-ending opportunity. We look at the word diet being decisions I eat today. We just think differently collectively as a group. And that's a training that we all go through 4 times a year. And it's spectacular. There is, we just change the word fear. Fear means false evidence appearing real. We just have fun with life, with words, with energy and actions. Wonderfully positive, but not frou-frou positive. We actually dig in, dig deep, get rid of the stuff in our closet and move forward. So within all that, Eric says, you know what? Most people don't like to work out. I get that. But I will tell you that being fit on whatever level you are is the answer to staying healthy on this planet. And he said, well, what if we had people work out 1 minute before every hour, especially if they're stuck at a job? And I thought, what do you mean? Can you imagine at 1:59, at 2:59, an alarm goes off and everybody in cubicles or everybody wherever they are gets up and does 60 seconds of whatever. And especially if you're in an office, what a great idea. And then when he saw the spin gym, Eric, what was your take on that?
It's the ultimate tool to be able to carry either in your pocket or in your purse or in your office. And to be in a cube, you don't need a lot of room, right? And it just adds, I don't know how many exercises, Forbes. What do you have, 150 per?
Yep. 150 different exercises that you can technically do in the space of your desk.
Yep. And what's nice is it adds the different body part to it. What I'm doing now and how it's kind of morphed is, it used to be just random stuff all day, like shoulder press, all these random exercises. But then it became, all right, let's do two body parts a day. Then it became just do one body part a day. And now today was a multiple. Instead of going abs and then legs, and then the next one do abs again, do legs. Now it's doing 2 at once. So maybe it'll be a crunch with a leg kick or with a squat. And I can't wait to be able to have Forbes, and she's supposed to be filming later because let's just say for tricep, now we have 5 extra different exercises, and it makes it so much simpler for what I want. I just want content, and to be able to have people follow the same routine, and this is for people that are basic, follow the same routine in 30 days, see what happens to your body. Because I work out every day for hours, not in the gym. I do steam room and a bunch of calisthenic stuff because I just listen. I want to help others forever and ever, and I want to be successful and not have to worry about anything. And to be able to not have to worry about anything, you could help people, but you got to be fit to be able to do that. Otherwise, it's not fun, right? So if I'm doing all this stuff and we keep morphing the idea, I think you make offices do this every day. And right now, it's perfect for everybody at home. But think about in 6 months when we're back to the cubes. If we are back to the cubes, it makes it that much easier for an office to give a contest or give away everybody's time, right? You're going to spend 8 minutes a day or 9 minutes a day because that's when the exercise happened. You get that time off.
Right, but
Right? So 2.5 hours of free time because you're doing a good thing for yourself anyway. So the app, the product should be here, I think, this week. I think it happened.
You know, it's funny,
I'm just waiting on some more content from Forbes.
I love you,
because
Eric.
I need more exercises today. I usually film everything in the morning. It takes about 5 minutes to show a 20-minute demo. And then I'm just posting it on Facebook now like there's no product. It's just, I'm thinking of this. I want a clock that counts down.
Hang tight. You can tell that Eric's excited about all this. I will tell you though, and this is, I think, important for everyone listening. There are many of us on the planet who've had ideas that were a little ahead of its time. And sometimes that means that you're frustrated. You want people to collectively understand. You know, I fly all over the country, all over the world, all the time to meet with people. And forever, literally since Zoom started, I have no stock in Zoom, but I probably should have, wanted to have these interactive meetings. And all of a sudden, this is the gateway. This is how my kids are now taking classes. I can see you. If you're seeing this on or listening on the radio, you don't quite get it, but go over to YouTube on my channel and see us live. I can see everybody's face. I can have lunch with you. But this little crazy thing I'm holding in my hand is like anybody else's goofy idea. You have a vision for something, and I will tell you there's a formula for success. One, you got to know what it is that you want, why you're doing it, how badly you're willing to fight for it, and then collectively get people to enroll in your idea. You never need to sell people, but you need to pitch them. And that's one of the things I've been teaching forever, how to excite, engage, and enroll. With Toni, it is a book. It's a healthy lifestyle. It's a new network. With Ken, it's understanding his book, but his world. With Eric, it's his new app. And with me, it's Spin Gym. And I'll tell you what, as I have watched myself over the years, it's been a decade now, fight with people. Going, you guys, this is an amazing product. Now, I didn't invent it. The Chinese did 2,000 years ago, and please don't hold it against the Chinese. They're very smart, long-lasting people who did not invent any disease. Don't even go down that road. Let's call it an Asian device. The point is, because this thing spins and does what it does, it's not a jump rope, it's not a resistance band. And I've had to fight for a long time for something I believed is true. Eric, I don't know if we're going back to cubicles or not. I do know we're in our homes, in this box that Ken talks about how we need to decorate and place objects so the energy feeds us, doesn't draw from us. Then I've got Toni here, who is making her own food choices and understanding and preaching about the danger of processed, about the danger of certain types of things that we ingest and don't think twice about it. We're in a disruptive time. So whether you're on the receiving end of that, where you are just waking up and going, wow, there's life beyond bologna sandwiches and McDonald's. I have to eat at home. Oh my God, what do I do? And I'm going to urge you to discover the ancient way of doing things before we had all of this stuff. You don't need Domino's to pizza to deliver to you. You need to understand how to make food in your world. It's very basic.
As a collective, Forbes, it's a consciously proactive, preventative lifestyle when you put all of that together.
What a concept, right? I mean, are you enamored with this time? And I will only have a couple more minutes, but I'm going to put one more thing out there, guys. It is your right to be happy right now. I understand that people are suffering, and we could call it survivor guilt, but you can choose to be enormously happy right now. And I'm going to urge you to do that because that's part of the world's healing. Toni, if we have a minute left for you to talk, say anything that you'd like, go.
Well, as you were saying that, and we talked about designing a life instead of just enduring one and being a victim and having life just happen to you. The idea that when I would watch a movie and it was maybe a romantic love story and I would see a woman walking the beach and there's this soaring music happening, right? A big score music, or she's just washing the dishes, looking out the window and it's beautiful. Like I make that happen for myself now. I'm washing the dishes. I'll put the music on that I want to see in my own life's movie. I'm creating my own movie of my own life right now. And everybody can do that. So that's what I think with New You Network and my book. Oh, look how I found myself with Correct Living. There's the book cover. There you go. I love it. And it really is just saying that we can choose how we want to exist here on this planet. We really can, even when things happen that we think has nothing to do with us. We can choose how we react to it, how we put our energies out to everybody else and how it reacts to us, because it's a domino effect. And so we can domino positivity, or we can domino fear and panic and negativity. And I choose the positive way to go. So newyounetwork.com will get you all the info to get on that positive mindset.
You know, my last book is called What Have You Forbes Lately, but my next one's going to be Domino Positivity. Ken, you're up. Go for it.
Well, my belief is when we're talking about happiness, I think one of the critical keys to happiness is progress. When we start to get unsatisfied, or we start to have stress, or we shut down, it's because oftentimes we've had life events, and that's created trauma, drama, and stress. When we have that, that leads to anxiety. The moment we have anxiety, our brain and our body start asking the what ifs. When that happens, we shut down and we stop before we start. So the goal is, how do we figure out, how do you re-engage, and how do you start to gain progress so that there's a streamline between thought, action, and result? When we have a lot of conflict or challenges, we have a lot of thoughts, very little action, and not getting the results. And that's when we get frustrated. So we have to think about, in our physical space and in our subconscious space, how do we clear those blockages? And it doesn't have to be something complex. Simplicity equals longevity. The simpler you make it, the longer you can sustain it. So whether it's adding fresh flowers, a living plant, or it's something that you just do, such as making your bed, that's progress. Because when you do something and it makes you feel better, you want to do more of it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Eric, you got 30 seconds. Go.
Just get up and, get into a routine of doing something physical again. That's what you got to do.
For those of us who can see, Eric, you went from, you have a dog licking your neck. Dude, you are making
I didn't
me
even know
laugh from ear
that's
to
my
ear.
girl. She's in the office with me today. That's Nella. But I love this new Zoom stuff. So if you guys are not using the virtual backgrounds, you got to do that too, because it makes people think, oh wow, it's different. And you can go up there and you can change it. You can put whatever picture you want. You can do movies too, which is kind of wild. But I tell everybody, just work. Put your head down. Don't think, oh, me too, and think of negative, atmosphere. Oh, well, listen, the grants that are coming out are going to be nuts. You're going to be able to get $10,000 no matter what, and not pay it back if you do follow some protocols. So what are you going to do with your 10 grand? You're going to put it towards your business. That's what they want. The other PPP grant monies is, if you have payroll in your small business, the numbers are mind blowing for 2.5 months. I mean, I'm looking at still being in business, but getting a nice chunk of change to be able to invest back into what we all do, which is get people to go. I mean, we just got to find a cure and be smart for the next couple of weeks, and this will be good.
I think you are extraordinary. Toni, thank you very much for being my guest. Ken, Eric,
Thank you for having
you
me.
guys were such a breath of fresh air. And I will tell you, if it's true that you are the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with, Eric's obviously kind of fluffy and white back there. I'm not sure who he's surrounding himself with. But for the rest of us, for you to really get through this with grace and elegance, eat right, live right, think right, stay healthy, stay happy, and above all, right now, stay home. You can see the world right through your computer. Guys, it's my pleasure, my privilege every week to be doing this show. I've been doing it for 10 years. And the fact that I can do this from my house, I have to give one last shout out to my crew, who, by the way, is in Arizona, and they do go to the office. I think that's where they are. Thank you for making this possible and keeping the airwaves open. We deserve to be happy and moving forward. All right. So all the positive thoughts, just take a big breath in, everybody. Can't believe I just did that on the airwaves. I love you guys. I will see you here next week. Mwah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was one of
All
my
clear. Have a nice day, Forbes. I'll see you next week.
Bye, you guys. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you,
me.
guys.